Team Boys, 4th overall, 173 points scored, their highest ever for a Constructors this season. Oh god, I'm sure a lot of that is down to the 21-round calendar, but even so, by far and away their best season. Sergio Perez cracking the 100-point mark for the first time in his career. 101, good number from him. And Nico Hulkenberg with 72 points in 2 spots back further in the championship, but their best result, 2 podium finishes for the year, one in Monaco and one the second in Baku, both from Sergio Perez. Sorry, Nico, it's just never going to happen, is it? His best result, ironically, was matching his career high, his 4th place in Belgium, just finishing behind Lewis Hamilton on that occasion. But overall, I mean, we'll let Johnson take this one first because obviously this is his team. But overall, what a tremendous result for Force India.
Delighted, to be honest with you. Like I say, I call them Team Boys because both of my boys from F1 are there. Well, until King came along and ruined everything. Or rather, King's team, the Renault team. But no, I mean, it's typical of Hulkenberg's career. We were like, he's moving to Renault next year, factory team. It'll work out well for him. What's that? Mercedes got a seat open. They wanted Hulkenberg, but now he's tied down to Renault. Oh,
damn it!
Why? Again, that's just the story. Nico's entire career he's like the Mark Martin of F1, the ultimate bridesmaid. But overall, I think you've got to say, Force India basically continued the upswing that they had from the middle of 2015 onwards, because they started 2015 in a bit of a tough spot. It looked like they were going to be the latest victim of the big financial struggle. But they introduced their B-Spec car and business really started to pick up. This year, they just kept that going. They just really continued with that momentum. They got a really strong and solid driver lineup. And to be honest with you, I think this year was the real sort of coming out party, like the second coming of Sergio Perez.
Absolutely.
Because for years, like he's always been one of my boys as like a sort of slightly, not eccentric, but like a sort of loose cannon talent. But, ever since 2013, there was that but about him. Do you know what I mean? Yep. There was that, but when we did put him in a big team, he wasn't very good. This year was the year it was like, okay, Perez can actually lead a team at the top end of town.
Absolutely.
He was a genuine team leader and franchise player. And it's not like Nico Hulkenberg is very bad. He's a very good driver in his own right as well. I think both of them were a solid combo. I think, momentum seems to be keeping going in the fact that, for now at least, it looks like Esteban Ocon will be the replacement over there. And if Perez can keep his form going, I don't see why they can keep this momentum going. I mean, they have designs on breaking into the top 3 now. Good luck with that, I say, because it's going to take another push beyond that.
Massively.
But, you can't ask for any more this year. I think they were, pound for pound, one of the best teams on the grid this year.
I think pound for pound, they were the best team on the field this year for me. I think for me when Force,
maybe I'm checking my bias a little bit too much here.
I think for Force India, for me, I wrote this in my 2015 season review on my website where I gave them a 9 out of 10 as a team score, and I said, they're going to hit the wall at some point, but this was a tremendous season from Force India and showed just how great an outfit they can be given all the adversity they've also had to struggle through to get to this point. And I kept thinking, okay, they're going to hit the wall. They're going to hit the wall. And it just hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if next year will finally be the year where the rest of the factories behind them, like McLaren and Renault and maybe even someone like Williams, could catch back up again. But for now, they are doing such an impressive job. And, I mean, King, any 2 cents you want to add to this real quick before we go to the scores?
No, nothing. Nothing to really add unless I want to give my score first.
Yeah, go for it if you want.
I want to give them, like you said earlier, 9 out of 10.
I'm with you on that. I think 9 out of 10 is about right. I think they are my
9 for me as well.
I think they're probably my team of the year. I think, for me, Force India were incredible, and they had a rough start, but they came back and they kicked ass, and they were consistently beating Williams throughout the second half of the calendar. Perez ended the year finishing 11 out of the last 12 races in the points, and like Perez is the. And
it's worth noting when I mentioned this near at the time, Perez easily had his best season in F1 in terms of points, and before we say, that was because it was a longer season, he had beaten his previous best ever total by about round 17 or 18. Yep. So, it was beaten already before you factor in the extra races. So he had a phenomenal year for me.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more with that.